We've added new flights from Mumbai. We started operations from Mumbai to Nairobi. We started Mumbai, Jakarta. And as recent as this weekend, we've launched flights from Delhi into Tashkent and Almaty. So we've expanded from a little over 20 destinations to 32 now. Next month, early October, we'll start flights into Hong Kong, so we'll be back in Hong Kong after the COVID time. And we have plans when the Airbus 321 XLR would be coming in to further expand our wings international. And in fact, it's not only new destinations, but it's also a lot of new routes. I mean, in August itself, we started new flights from Ahmedabad to Abu Dhabi, from Goa to Abu Dhabi, from Ahmedabad to Jeddah. So we keep expanding international footprint, both by new destinations as well as new routes.
And talking about airfares, because that is something which always is something liked by or they wanted to hear about airfares going forward in festival season because of lack of one airline. It's not there and trouble with another airline. Do you think airfares going up? What's your take on that?
You know, there's always seasonal fluctuations. Did you try to book a hotel already at the peak season? Did you see what's the price of that? So there's always going to be fluctuations of airfares. I think for IndiGo, one of our very fundamental customer promises affordable fares, and that's what we keep there. So yes, there will be seasonal fluctuations, like there always are. At the end of the day, we also see prices of fuel going up. But at the end of the day, the IndiGo customer promise, affordable fares, is and will remain a very strong pillar of IndiGo.
While you took a board's permission to buy 10 A321 neo planes, also you have taken some on lease. So what is the plan as far as these new aircraft are concerned? And what possible timeline is there when you would like to place order for the new planes?
Well, recently we have placed an order of 500 aircraft, the largest order in the history of aviation from a single airline with a single vendor. So we're not having any sort of new plans for that. That's such a massive order. What is important is that gives us continuity and stability basically for the many years ahead. And aviation business is a long-term business. So we need to prepare the airports, we need to prepare our training, we need to prepare our pilots. So that's all a long-term planning. So we are having made these investments in these announcements in order to create that long-term planning. I mean, for the years ahead, think about it. For the years ahead, each and every week, IndiGo will receive a new aircraft. So every Monday, we realize a new week, new plane is coming. So that's a very important part, and that will help us to continue to grow forward on that expansion and that ambition to grow IndiGo both domestic as well as international. The temporary leases you're referring to, they are leases to deal with some of the supply chain challenges we're having and to make sure that we can continue to serve the market and yet having the planes available. And due to the supply chain challenges, there were less planes available than we had initially expected, and therefore these temporary leases are there.
And Pratt & Whitney engine problems, how have you dealt with them so far? How many of the grounded are so far?
Well, I think so far IndiGo has had a very, I would say, hands-on approach in terms of creating mitigating measures. So what we have done is we have temporary leases. We even have the 777 to Istanbul from both Delhi and Mumbai. So we've done a lot of measures actually in order to make sure that we could live up to our last capacity guidance. If you see our results in the first quarter of this year, we have again reconfirmed our capacity guidance. Of course, we're speaking with Pratt & Whitney and are in close contact with Pratt & Whitney to have a good understanding what's there in the months ahead. But IndiGo, I would say, always a little ahead of the pack, so we are sort of preparing already now for what next mitigating measures we should take.
Last two quick questions. Talking about food and beverage, well, you have introduced new meals and your food and beverage margins are being talked about. So going forward, is that something you are going to more focus on to bring profitability?
You know, the change which we did for our food and beverage had nothing to do with profitability. The change which we did was driven by the fact that we actually wanted to achieve a couple of things at the same time. First of all, we have seen a lot of growth in our corporate segment. So some flights we have over 100 corporate customers and they all need to be served. So we need to make sure that we have a service on time. Secondly, it needs to be even more affordable and hassle-free. So we have reduced some of the prices of our customers and also made it hassle-free. That means if you don't decide prior to your flight what sandwich or what thing you want, you just get something which is prepared by us, which is the case actually at many other places. Thirdly, we have created actually a lot of focus on sustainability, so reducing a lot of waste which we're having. And with the growth of the airline and the growth of customers, that was another important fact in that new catering proposition.
One last question on two things happening. One is Akasa Air pilot problem. If you can talk about how this problem is between pilots, and do you support what the airline is doing, because the pilots have quit without notice. Also, a leasing watchdog has downgraded India. How these things affect you or maybe industry?
Yeah, as a matter of principle and policy, actually, I prefer not to comment on any things at our competitors. I mean, Akasa is having its own set of challenges, and it's for Akasa to react on those challenges. I think more broadly, and when you speak about what's going on in the aviation industry, of course, there's a lot of growth with a lot of dynamics which are happening there. So again, I prefer that for Akasa to react on. And your second question there?
Aviation leasing watchdog
Yeah.
has downgraded.
Well, it's a bit a similar thing. It's driven by what happened with Go First. Again, I leave that to Go First. We have our own contacts with the leasing firms. We have our own communication with the leasing firms, and IndiGo just continues. And IndiGo has throughout the year demonstrated to the leasing firms to be a very trustworthy partner and partner in business. Throughout the COVID times, we continue to take planes, we continue to build, and we have, as I said earlier, a massive plane order placed already. So we continue to work with them, and we do that from our own philosophy and our own track record of operating.
Thank you, Peter, so much. Thank you.